Hello, everyone. Who's so ready for day 4? Okay, today's going to be intense. Is that surprising? No, let's have some fun. Okay, who here has been wondering, how did I learn all of this? Anyone say, like, what books are you reading? Like, what is happening? How did you learn these psychological things, all of the above? Drop a yes if you were kind of wondering that. Like, what masterclass do I sign up for all of that? Well, this one, but right. Okay, so I'm going to share just a little bit of backstory on a few things today, and we're going to be sharing some really cool psychological effects. Plus, we're going to be talking about why you're probably doing things the harder way. Anyone want to learn the easier way and why it's totally okay? Yes, please. We're going to be diving into how to get what you want, specifically with content. Cool? As well as we might get to this today. As you guys know, we end up kind of nerding out sometimes a little bit longer than I usually plan on, but we'll see how far we can get. We may dive into how to get more done faster. Drop a yes if you want any of these. Okay, so a little bit of backstory. Growing up, my life looked really different. And I share this because who here has ever made an assumption about someone based on just kind of how their life looks as you met them or as you experience them? Drop a yes. It's okay. We all do it. Usually the assumption about me is that my life has always been easy, that I had rich parents and a secure household, and that I've always gotten my way. Huh. Who here already knows this ain't true? Growing up, I grew up in poverty. So the first year of my life, my parents made $11,000 and we lived in a basement. That continued on until I was 13. I was scholarshiped to a private school in 5th and 6th grade. But previous to that, I had been homeschooled and in a very strict quasi-cult religion. And so I wasn't super good at social skills. Anyone else feel this? Was anyone else here homeschooled, by the way? What a wild experience, right? Super wild. Side note, like growing up, our cars, I didn't know you could pick the color of your car. Anyone else remember those days? I thought you just got the color of the car that was available because they were $700. And we had one massive rusted out Suburban. The floor was missing from our Suburban growing up. So you had to pick up your feet and like stretch them across so that they touched the seat if they did touch. And you had to just be careful not to drop anything. So I share all of this because I went to this private school, and I'm just going to tell you, you guys, in that private school, I was extremely bullied to an extent that I didn't know was possible. Has anyone seen like the documentaries on bullying and you're like, wait, does that really happen still today? I thought that was just the 60s. I wasn't socially cool. I like to read all the time. I would read at the lunch table. I loved reading at recess. I wasn't good at social skills. I wasn't good at making friends. But it went to the point where the teachers kind of turned a blind eye to it because it was the pastor of the Associated Church's daughter who was the ringleader of all this. And at one point, I was actually locked in a ball closet for all of recess. And another day, I was tied up with jump ropes in the shower, and they turned the water on and left me there for the rest of the day. So I left and got picked up soaking wet. So 2 years later, I made this decision, like, I don't want my life to look like this. This isn't fair. Have you guys ever felt that way? Like, I feel like the way that the world is perceiving me isn't fair. They're perceiving me as awkward or uncool, or people aren't listening to me. People aren't hearing me. They're not understanding who I am and why I am the way I am. Side note, please write this down. This is why it's so important that you tell your story. If you do not tell your story, people will assume your story, okay? If you do not tell your story, people will assume your story. And thank you, by the way. I'm doing okay with it now, thankfully. I learned a lot during that time, that's for sure. Imaginary friends, woohoo! There's actually a whole philosophy around this, but back in that day, my escape was writing and reading. And so I would write stories obsessively. I would write in my journal. I would constantly be like, what if my life were different? Anyone else have a big imagination? It's probably actually why you're here, right? You can imagine things being totally different. So I decided to write a story about a girl named Rachel, and everything went her way. And I do not still have that story. I wish I did. Um, and sorry, I just saw a question that distracted me. Ask me that on the VIP session. So it's interesting because I wrote this entire story about this girl named Rachel who knew how to do her hair, who knew how to do her makeup, who always wore outfits that felt nice, who attracted attention when she was speaking, who people actually wanted to be friends with, who people wouldn't, tie up and leave in the showers. What a crazy concept. But I wrote this story, and then when I went to public school, everything started to change. I observed people. I watched how people interacted, and I didn't realize it, but I was actually getting an early start in psychology. What is human behavior? What does it look like? And I used all of that to follow this model here. Are you ready to write it down? We'll get nerdy for a second. It's called the reconstructed identity model. The reconstructed identity model. Oh, I actually wrote the story. I wrote it down. And I've done that a few times throughout my life. Okay. So Dr. Dan McAdams created this narrative identity theory, which basically shows that we form our identities by the stories we tell ourselves. Did you catch that? We form our identities by the stories we tell ourselves. Changing that story can change who we believe we are. Woo! Drop an aha if you've been needing this one. Now, this is big. I do this process every single year. Sometimes a couple times a year. I check in and I say, do I like the story that I'm writing about myself? Do I like who I am choosing to believe that I am? And I take inventory on all kinds of things. How am I as a wife? How do I want to be as a wife? Can I rewrite a story where I am an incredible wife? I'm more patient. I'm more fun. I'm more soft and loving. Can I be an even better mom in this story? Who here didn't know you could just rewrite that story and then follow it? Now, I did this once again when I was a single mom on welfare. I would fall asleep, Dakota, and I started sharing a bed when she was like 1, and we shared a bed till she was 3, a single twin mattress. And she would fall asleep just on my arm, and I would sit and tears would stream down my face because I was just like, this is not the story that I'm accepting. This is not the right story. Has anyone seen the movie Life Itself? Trigger warnings for everything. Life Itself, there's this part where one of the main characters says, no, no, this is not the right story. This is not the right story. Oh, it's so good. So I was like, I am not going to get stuck in this old story. I'm continuing a pattern that I saw growing up, and this will not be how it continues. So at that time, I didn't have a lot of skills, you guys. I didn't have tons of knowledge. I didn't have a degree. I didn't have even books about psychology. So what I imagined was the most likely thing I could see, which was I'm going to be a multimillionaire. How? I'm going to win the lottery. That's it. I'm going to win the lottery. So I would buy my $1 ticket every single week, and I would imagine how my life would differ and who I was going to be when I was a multimillionaire. Drop aha if you're seeing this connection. There was an identity shift through the most likely path. You can reconstruct your identity at any given time. Just because life has been a certain way up until this point in any facet of life, it doesn't mean it has to keep being that way. Once you reconstruct your identity and rewrite the story, you will start to naturally take steps into that story. Okay, this is big. Now what's interesting is in the last 7 years, I have obsessed over psychology. I've obsessed over marketing, copywriting, persuasion, brain science. Human behavior is so fascinating to me. And all these books, I've read them all except for like the coffee tabletop ones. Those are just about fashion for fun, for something to look at. I don't know. Um, but I have read close to 1,500 books over the last 7 years. So I obsessively consume information and find ways to apply it. Did you catch that? That second part? I obsessively consume information and then I find ways to apply it. Whew. Okay, you guys ready for what comes next? So, Paul and I met and got married in 13 days. We did not know each other, even 14 days. We had never met each other. 14 days before we eloped at the Chapel of Love at the Mall of America. Um, and it's been 11 years, which is kind of fun. Now, when we first got married, people, you know how people always ask at like dinner parties, how did you two meet? Anyone ever heard that question? It's like a popular question. What's your story? How did you two meet? And Paul was so excited. Love you, baby. I know you're watching. And Paul is like just like the most genuine, kind, calm, non-hypey person you will ever meet. He's just consistent. He's going to be a great pilot, by the way. So he would start the story. He'd say, "Oh boy, do we have a great story." So one night, I got a message from my sister-in-law, and I would watch their eyes glaze over, and they would stop listening. And I was like, what the heck? It is an amazing story. Why are people not paying attention? Drop a yes if you feel like you have good information, great stories, an amazing message, a wonderful product, the ability to change lives. Drop a yes. And do you feel sometimes like people's eyes are glazing over before you even get the opportunity to share it? Drop a yes. This is very normal, by the way, because we're not naturally taught how to capture attention, right? Okay. So I would watch this, and at first I would let him try. And by the time he got to the punchline of the story, people didn't care. And they were like, wow, that's crazy. And I was like, come on. He's telling an amazing love story, the kind like that you write about in books, right? The kind you see in movies. So why are people not listening? And so I decided to start testing some different things out. Of course, I learned a lot of this from my days of being homeschooled and then the immersion into public school after private school. And I was like, I'm going to learn how to do what works. So I would start with, we actually met and eloped 13 days later. Boom, locked in. Instantly, people wanted to hear the rest of the story. They had to hear it. And then Paul could start from the beginning and tell the whole story. They were in for the entire story. Drop aha if you're catching it. You can have the best story in the world, but if you don't know how to pull people in through hooks, through psychological theories, effects, models, frameworks, all of the above, and this is even deeper than the hook, you're never going to get the eyeballs and you're never going to get the attention. You could talk for 8 hours about the most valuable things and nobody would listen. Oh, did you catch that? You are enough. Your message is enough. Your story is enough. Your knowledge is enough. We just sometimes have to, configure a little bit how we present it. Okay. Now, we just celebrated our 11th year anniversary a couple days ago. Do you guys want to know how we celebrated? It was literally, I love you. Can we do nothing today? Yes, that sounds great. Oh, perfect. Okay. But do you guys want to hear one of the craziest parts of our relationship? Paul actually completely shut me down the first time we met, day one. What? This is true, 100% true. Oh, but first, write this down, the Zeigarnik effect. I'll put this in the chat for you guys, okay? So the Zeigarnik effect. The Zeigarnik effect. This is a fascinating concept, okay? Who here wants to know the secret to how many authors finish books faster? How many entrepreneurs make sure that stuff gets done? Okay, so psychologist Bluma Zeigarnik discovered a funny phenomenon that we all have noticed, probably. Have you ever been to a restaurant and until you've paid the bill, the server is like on it, right? They're there. They're meeting all your needs. The second the bill is paid, you will never get a refill again. They're gone. They don't care if you wanted dessert, if you had second thoughts. Drop a yes if you know exactly what I'm talking about. She noticed that servers could remember unpaid orders, but forgot about them once they were completed. The reason behind this effect is that unfinished tasks create mental tension. Unfinished tasks create mental tension or cognitive dissonance, which is discomfort in the brain. Okay? What that means is it keeps the information active in our minds until the task is complete. This is why we often find ourselves thinking about things that we still need to finish. Drop an aha. It's our brain's way of keeping it front and center to help us complete it again and again and again. Ernest Hemingway actually intentionally and famously used this to finish his books faster. He would intentionally stop writing mid-sentence at a cliffhanger. So he left his work completely unfinished each day. That way, the next morning, he would think about it. It would stay fresh. He could easily pick up where he left off the next day. Are you catching where this is going? You leave the lingering tension, and this is applicable to many different things. Who's already seeing a lot of different ways this can be used? But you know what's crazy? Unfinished stories and thoughts create this same effect in viewers and readers' minds. Drop a yes if you're still kind of wondering how Paul rejected me the first time we met. Did you see what I did there? Side note, when I walked in, he thought I was married because someone handed me their baby. So I actually went up to him and tried to flirt with him. And I was like, hey, can I plug my phone in at that charger? And he was like, no, go find your own charger. He was rejecting me because he thought I was a married woman. And I was like, actually, that's kind of cool. But he totally shut me down. Who loves this one? Who's going to use this one? Amazing. So this is true in stories. This is true in speeches. This is true in interviews. If you lead with something interesting, juicy, a hook, a concept, and you cut it off, don't worry about being like, let's get back to it. People will beg you to get back to it. They will wait for it. At the end of your content, you can finish it up. Whenever I hold a glass, this is a simple one. Has anyone ever noticed I hold glasses as I'm talking and waiting for a right opportunity to drink? Who here's like, when is she going to drink? When is she going to take a sip and put that glass down? I have been known to sit here and hold a glass for like 30 minutes on a training because it just isn't a good time to take a drink yet, but I'm reminding myself, okay, here, I got to take a drink. So I have the Zeigarnik right here. And you guys have the Zeigarnik going on too, right? Do you know what this mug is, by the way? It's a pattern interrupt. It's a conversation point. I don't buy boring mugs on purpose because each and every one of these mugs could generate anywhere from 1 to 100 comments if a video goes viral. Check this one out too. I always have 2 massive cups of coffee. They're mostly water. Oh, they all generate comments. Okay, who's getting the ahas already? We're going to dive into why you're working harder than you need to be and probably getting pretty frustrated in the process. Leveraging AI. You ready for it? Some of you felt the desire to zone out already because you're like, "Oh, I don't know about it. It's generic, it's bland, it's not that great. Is it cheating? Should we dive into it?" Beautiful. If you need help with any of the following, this will impact you. Energy conservation. Energy conservation. That includes time. This is especially helpful for those with chronic or mental illnesses. We need every single advantage we can get. Managing energy is crucial, but I believe everyone needs that. Cool? Number 2, reducing physical and cognitive load. Every person only has so much that they can take on in a day. Does anyone else love like cleaning? I love cleaning so much. I don't get enough time to clean. I wish that I could just like clean for like 5 hours a day, every single day. It's one of my favorite things to do. I like scrubbing things down. All of the above. Do not get even close to the right amount of time to do it. But have you ever said like, okay, this Saturday, I am just going to clean. I'm going to scrub. I'm going to wash everything. I'm going to get it all done. I'm going to organize everything. And even though you have a whole day slated for it, you hit a physical exhaustion point. There is a point where your body can only take so much. The same thing is true with your brain. Did you catch that? Typing, editing, and re-editing can be physically exhausting, and it can be hard on your wrists and your hands. Please write that down, because conservation of your wrists, especially those of us who are typing a lot and moving the mouse, is important. Have you ever seen someone with carpal tunnel surgery? They have a massive scar, and it's a horrible recovery. You have to think about that. Number 3, providing structure in a busy life. Providing structure in a busy life. This is especially helpful for people who have scattered thoughts. For those that balance numerous responsibilities, numerous clients, numerous hats in your business, you need to organize scattered thoughts into structured content. Okay? Number 4, reduce decision fatigue. Reduce decision fatigue. There are a lot of times where I'll come up with 7 hooks for one video, and I'm like, oh, they're all similar, so they can't be different pieces of content at this time, but which one's going to be the best take on it? I'm not sure. Oh, I know. I'll ask AI to use a few different qualifications to determine which one is most likely to perform. Please rank them for me using these qualifications. Decision-making is exhausting. We can only make so many decisions in a day. Did you catch that? And number 5, boost confidence on bad days. Boost confidence on bad days. If you want to see what I'm talking about, if you've spent any amount of time with ChatGPT, go ask it based on what you know of me. Tell me what I'm like. Share some things I might not know about myself, and it will give you the most glowing review of who you are. And then if you need to humble yourself, go in there and say, based on what you know of me, please roast me hardcore. That one's also really fun. I've done that one. I made my whole team do that. I was like, you guys have to become self-aware. No, I'm just kidding. Go check this out. It's amazing. All right. What I'm going to share with you about AI comes from being a cha-cha guide. What? Being a cha-cha guide. Does anyone remember text 242-242 and ask your questions? Anyone remember that one? So I was a cha-cha guide. So while I was a single mom, I had to stay at home with my daughter. I couldn't afford daycare, didn't have a plan for my life. So I was like, I can answer questions at my computer. You would get the little like ding, and a question would pop up and you'd have to answer it. But what people didn't know about Cha-Cha guides is we had to answer it and cite a source that wasn't Google or Wikipedia. Isn't that insane? So during that time, I learned how to ask for things. Write that down. How to ask for things. This is one of the single greatest skills you can acquire. Because when I started, I was slow. I wasn't fast at typing. I didn't know how to search on Google. I didn't know how to find sources or citations. But here's what I knew. I had a baby to provide for. And every question that we answered, we got paid 8 to 20 cents for. Somebody real fast, the math is not working, right? How long does it take to get the question, find a citation, answer the question in your own words, and share the citation? Too long is the answer, by the way. So I was like, the only way I can make more money doing this from home, and sometimes I would literally have the baby on my lap, sweet little Dakota, who's now 14, is I need to get faster at this. I need to learn how to ask questions better. And so I just started racing myself. How can I ask this question better? How can I ask this in a way that gets a better answer? And because I answered so many questions, I was able to literally split test different ways to get better answers. Okay? It's wild. My record there, every single week there was a competition, a leaderboard for who was like the top Cha-Cha guide in the nation. And I was always top 3 because I was like, I am going to win this. And then you would get like $100 gift card. It was amazing. I feel like they made a lot of money off us. But you know what? It was a blessing. So I was making anywhere from 1,500 to 2,500 max per month. That's a ton of questions. Can I get a yes if you agree? That is so many questions, and I learned a lot of things. The number one question we got was, what is the largest bleep size in the world? So that one I had saved on my desktop, always ready to go. Okay. When it comes to AI, and I'm mostly going to say ChatGPT instead of AI. So ChatGPT, but insert Claude, insert Gemini, insert whatever you like. I personally find right now that if you know what to ask for, ChatGPT is hands down the best. You need to learn how to ask it properly for what you want. Most people are either 1, asking for the wrong things, or 2, they're asking for the right things in the wrong way. Now, this year, I decided to start taking Python and coding seriously. There's actually a huge software idea that I've had for a while that I'm totally going to take on. My team's kind of like, oh my gosh, what are you doing with this one? But I think they're going to like it down the road. And I think you guys will like it too, because it's very needed. But it's honestly transformed the way I see everything. I realized why most people, A, can't use AI well and don't get good results, and B, also struggle with effectively hiring, training, working, creating systems in their business. Cool? And here's why. Get ready to write. Garbage in, garbage out. Garbage in, garbage out. You need to think like a coder. There is room for creativity, but things need to be clear and clean and over-explained with frameworks, with examples, and we'll get more specific here, okay? Confusion in, confused result out. Side note, when you hire someone and they're like, what do you want me to do? You're like, I don't really know, just do something. Unless you're paying them baller amounts of money, that's confusion in, you're gonna get confusion out. And what you get back, you're not gonna like. Do not hire people if you do not have clarity on what it is you actually want. Unless they are expert level, but then you should still know the end goal. Ready for this? Who's ever seen a post and you were like, that was so clearly written by ChatGPT? It's like all the time right now. The blogs, everything. And it's like, this just isn't even good. Scroll, lame, or rather, should I say, boring. Generic in, generic out. Write that one down. That's a huge one. Generic in, generic out. You need to get clear, number one. Number two, you need to get specific. Number three, you need to think like an SOP builder, a standard operating procedure builder. When I write SOPs, I write them as if somebody has never logged onto the platform before, just in case I fell and broke my brain, I don't know, and I needed to say, hop in here and do this. Everything is laid out in this SOP. That's how it needs to be. Okay. So I have a question for you. Let's say you walk into Nordstrom and you say, I'm looking for a shirt. Okay. Now, you know in your head that you're going to the Sundance Festival. You get to go screen movies. You're going to walk a red carpet. So fun. And they come over with a faded Rolling Stones t-shirt. Is that the associate's fault? Yes or no in the chat? This is important. Shelby asked me this. Did I win the lottery? I didn't win the lottery, but I kind of built one. I don't know. Life's been pretty awesome. We've had some really cool experiences. Okay. So you say, oh, correction. It's a dressy shirt. It's for a really formal event. And they come over and give you, those what are those accordion style shirts that go underneath tuxes? You know what I'm talking about? And you're like, is it the associate's fault that she did not bring the shirt you were thinking of? Yes or no in the chat? And then you say, I was thinking something silk. So she brings over a groovy tie-dye silk shirt. Her fault, yes or no? You get the gist, right? Okay, it is not ChatGPT's fault if you're not getting the results you want. ChatGPT and all AI is the associate, the assistant, the support that does not ask you questions. They take what you give them and they bring you something back. And that's how it will always operate. Okay? Ask yourself, what do I actually want here? And you need to drill in. I'm going to give examples. Did you want just a caption? Any caption? A short caption? A long one? One with value and bullet points? Do you need hashtags? Do you want to add a call to action? Did you want them to mention follow me and your username for more? How about emojis? Wait, you didn't want the rocket ship emoji? Do you have book or tool recommendations? Do you want people to answer a question or comment? Or will a random generic caption work? Drop aha if you're starting to see why you have not been getting the specific results you want. Okay. Number one, you need to start with laser-focused goal setting with AI. Start by narrowing down your goal. Be super specific. Do you want a single sentence or an entire article? Define the tone, the length, and the purpose in your request. Number two, intent and detail strategy. You need to think like an editor here or a master copywriter. Include your intent in each prompt. Is it to persuade, inform, inspire, entertain? Number three, context is king. There's a reason you can include attachments. You can provide background context. You can provide examples. You can provide your brand voice. By the way, I don't know if I told you guys this, but like my brand voice process is 87 topics with 1 to 5 subtopics for each. I'm pretty sure it's 3. I think we narrowed it down to 3. So that's a lot of things that we do for brand voice for every single client. We need to know every detail. Okay. Instead of saying like, write a summary, include what it's for, who it's for, the level of detail, the sections you want, and any critical points to highlight. Number 4, target audience mindset. You need to specify the audience as if you were designing a product specifically for them. When you say create a social media post, for who? Is messaging wildly different from Gen X to Gen Z? Yeah. When I text my 14-year-old, I use a different set of emojis just so I don't seem as old. And you say things like cap or chat. Instead of saying, hey, are you there? They say chat. It's a call out. Did you guys know that? Chat. They don't say it's fire anymore. They don't say bra anymore. They say bro, like that. They don't use punctuation. Did you catch that? Sigma, yes. Skibbity toilet. Thank you. It's next level with Gen Z. Just a heads up. Everybody's getting older than we think we are. You got to go hang out with the 14-year-old. It's wild. All right, number 5, test and tweak your prompts. Use iterative refinement. Start broad, see the output, then add specifics or tweak it until it's closer to what you imagined. Six, outcome-based prompting. Shift the focus to the outcome, not just the task. Rather than asking for ideas, ask for actionable steps to boost engagement by 30%. Ask for a blog post that will lead the viewers on a journey that starts with meeting them where they are and blows their mind based on the transcripts of your own voice and your process and your strategies. So over time, it uncovers the steps that blows their mind and gives them the result that they want. I lost track of what number we're on, so I'll just keep going. Language and emotion calibration. I always make the mistake of not numbering lists, this type of list. Language and emotion calibration. Set the tone explicitly. Are you looking for excitement, calm authority, playful curiosity? Are you looking for the tone of an INFJ? Oh, that was too much INFJ. 5% INFJ. Ooh, that still is a little bit emotional and existential. Let's switch to an ENFJ. Oh, that's perfect. Wait, maybe about 10% more personality. Great. Prompt with the feelings, the emotions, and the personality that you want the response to carry. Got it? Cool. Next number, provide structure cues. Provide structure cues. I'm actually going to real fast pull up. I know you guys aren't able to drop ahas as much right now because everyone's taking notes. That's okay. You can give them later. I have something that is a prompt, and this is the shrunk down version. This prompt takes transcripts. And I do a lot of transcripts because I'll get inspiration. And sometimes because I do work a decent amount and I type a lot, my hands get really tired. I don't know if anyone else gets that way. Drop a yes if anyone else feels that way. Like my hands just sometimes get tired from typing so much, typing so fast, switching context. What's very interesting though is I can record at any time. So wait a second, you're telling me that I can go play Mario Kart and sit and zone out and play Mario Kart for 30 minutes, but I can talk what I want this blog post to be about and just ramble on, and I can transcribe it and then turn it into a value post based on that? Yes, please. Drop aha if you needed that one. Okay. My prompt for just this is Let's find this one. I have to do the word count thingy. Just for the first iteration and just the format is 2125 words. 2125 words. But that doesn't include my brand voice, my abbreviated brand voice, which is, this one is 1152. That doesn't even include the information or any specifics I want to add into the prompt. But those are some of the context I add every single time. Pretty cool. Drop aha if it's clicking. Garbage in, garbage out. You see it now, right? If you need, so for provide structure cues, if you need a list, outline, or paragraph format, say so. If you want lots of line breaks, you need to say so. Instead of give me tips, try give me a bulleted list of 5 tips with short descriptions. 1 sentence for each description. Cite an example for each one from this industry or from this type of source. Use analogies for nuanced requests. If you're stuck, try using analogies to capture the tone. For example, explain SEO like you would to a 12-year-old. Explain how to meal prep as if I have ADHD and struggle with paying attention. Format it in the way that my brain can absorb. It makes for simpler, more relatable content too. Okay, let's keep on going. Who's loving today? Just nod your head if you're on VIP. And if you're on chat, just, chat. Okay. Next, personal voice and authenticity. AI generated content is just a starting point. We'll get to that more so in a moment. By adding personal insights, unique phrasing, or specific anecdotes, you make sure that the content resonates with your true voice, making it feel genuinely you instead of automated. Accuracy and relevance. AI is not flawless. It messes up all the time. Please write this down. You have to double check everything. Stats, it just generates stats. It makes them up. Okay, please check them. Industry jargon is not usually accurate or up to date. It usually feels like it's a year or 2 behind, which is a long time in most industries. And the content, and you also have to make sure that the content speaks directly to your audience's needs as well as current events. For example, if we're going through a time where there are a lot of mass casualties going on, and it's producing things like locked and loaded, maybe you want to adjust that a little bit. Just double check to make sure it fits your country's climate, your state's climate, your territory's climate, okay? These are the things that only a human touch can fine tune. Aligns with brand standards. Every single brand needs brand standards. Drop aha in the chat if you're like, oh, shoot. Brand standards are, here's what I will do, here's what I won't do. Here's what I'm comfortable with, here's where I push the limits. Here's what we never do, here's what we avoid. These need to be done. And most people do this wrong. Most companies think that brand standards are just, yes, I like the Oxford comma. No, I don't like the Oxford comma. No, it's what will we talk about? If more companies had psychographics and values-based brand standards, their social media managers and email managers would get in a lot less trouble. Every brand has a tone, style, and set of values. By adjusting your AI-generated content, either through AI or manually, you can maintain consistency with those brand standards so you don't ever negatively impact your brand's image. Here's a big one. You ready for it? Adding nuanced emotion. AI content can sometimes be flat or too general or boring. You have to revisit it, oftentimes with modifiers, to add warmth, humor, or empathy. You need to add the emotional depth that connects with readers on a human level. And usually this is something you have to manually do. Now, I want to make something super clear here. AI content is not ready to rock and roll. Drop yes in the chat if you hear me loud and clear on this. Sometimes when I say like I use AI, people assume my content is like AI generated. I pretty much go over every single word of AI generated content. It just gives me a base so I don't have to type as much. But even that is still created from my own IP. Okay, AI augments. Question for you. Does a standard sewing machine do the work for you? A standard sewing machine, you buy a sewing machine. Is that cheating? Is it doing all the work for you? It augments, it supports, it makes it more efficient. Do you still have to check to make sure that the stitches are good? Yes. There still needs to be a human element all the time. You still have to feed it into the sewing machine. Okay. Okay, now that we got through that whole long list, drop aha in the chat if this was helpful. Exciting. Awesome. By the way, I think I have this here. This is just fascinating to know. I looked up the other day the types of humor. I think I found that there was like a couple hundred types of humor, and they're all different from each other. It's so wild. And I was like, that's important because if you're saying add humor, how are they supposed to know what type of humor? Right? I'll just share a couple. Ready? This is so wild. Yes, British humor is so different to American. I have a few friends who love British humor, and I'm always like, I can't tell if you're making fun of me or not because I was bullied at a private school and I was homeschooled growing up. I don't know. You have to like laugh or wink or something, right? Okay, so here's just one small category. All right. Classic humor types. In this doc, I have, and I know I have more somewhere else, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Yeah, this is my abbreviated doc. In this one, I have 14 categories for humor. So this one's just the classic humor types, just to give an example of how different it all is. Sarcasm, irony, satire, parody, wordplay puns, slapstick, absurdism, deadpan, self-deprecating, observational. Whoa. Drop aha in the chat if you're seeing all the differences. It's kind of crazy, isn't it? That is something that only the human eye and mind can do consistently. All right. Now, who here wants to learn how to spend less time creating content? How to spend less time creating content. Okay. Think of your favorite place to go, whether it's a vacation or a store or a restaurant. What's your favorite place to go and have an experience? Is it Disney? Is it a restaurant in Vegas? Is it Louis Vuitton? Okay, everyone got one in your mind? You have a budget of $100 to spend there in one visit. Are you likely to spend the $100? You've budgeted for it, you've saved for it, you've planned for it. Most people are going to spend right up to the $100. If you had a budget of $200 set aside, you would spend the $200. Did you catch that? If I tell you that I need you to create a funnel for me, how long would it take you to build a funnel? Or do the thing that you do? Create me a strategy, write my copy. How long would it take you if I just said, create one of these things for me? Answer in the chat. No multitasking. I know everyone's like hopping into ChatGPT already, but this part is pretty big. Forever, right? I used to honestly let content creation take all day. Anyone else this way? Today I need to create some content at some point in time. I have 5 hours without calls, perfect. And it filled up that amount of time. If I didn't set a strict time limit, the task just expanded to whatever container I'd given it. Did you catch that? Whether it was an hour, 3 hours, or even a whole day. I would start tweaking every little thing. I would over-research, adjusting words, rearranging graphics, re-recording parts of the video until it was perfect. And the end result didn't really look that much different than if I had just done it quickly. Did you catch that? You got it. Parkinson's law. This is the idea that work will always expand to fill the time allowed. It's kind of like certain aquatic animals. They will grow to the size of their tank. Did you catch that? They will grow to fit the size of their tank. It's either sharks or goldfish, but I don't remember. It's one of the two. So one thing that's amazing is I found that if I only allow myself 15 minutes, I focus on what really matters and I just get it done. Set strict time limits for content creation to increase productivity and avoid perfectionism. Did you catch that? And avoid perfectionism. There is nobody who gets something done faster than when your computer is on 7% battery and you are at a coffee shop and you have one last task to get to for the day. Who's done things way faster in that situation? Yes. Live with the 7% battery methodology, okay? Set a timer for each task. Set a timer for each task. Number 2, time block it out. If you don't have time on your calendars set aside and blocked off, when you know you're going to create content, it will not happen. Or it will happen at a snail's pace. Use batching sessions. That gets into another topic, which is context switching, but we're not going to get into that today. Try the one and done challenge. I do this all the time. I'm going to write a post. I'm going to review it, make sure it's good enough. 1 minute pass and just do it. Just go for it. One and done means it's good enough. No, it won't be better the 10th time you re-record it. It starts to sound too perfect. It sounds like it's the 10th attempt. Did you catch that? And set weekly content sprints. Set weekly content sprints. Pick a particular topic and create as much of one of these 4 types of content as you can on a sprint. I'm going to create 5 long form texts around this, and that's going to take care of a lot of my content for next week. Oh, and then that actually motivated me even more. So I'm going to block out another content sprint later this week, and I'm going to adapt these fully for a series of short form videos. Yeah, I'm going to content sprint it. Okay. All right. Drop aha in the chat if you love today. Woo! Halfway decent. Moderately. Kind of fun. Who here's willing to bet tomorrow's going to turn up again in the best way possible? All right. So your homework for today is not the one that you would expect. Yes, you could play with AI all day, but that's not going anywhere. Okay. Besides, we all seem to find time to hang out with ChatGPT on any given day. Number 1, I want you to ask yourself, what is the identity that I'm believing about myself? What is the story that I'm telling myself? Number 2, I want you to try rewriting your life and your identity with intention. Just small shifts. Instead of saying, I'm awkward, you can say, I'm independent and quirky, and I attract the right people. That's homework step number 1. And for those of you who want a little bit more homework, I want you to time block. Go look at your calendar for the next 2 weeks and block out the times for content creation. Okay? Remember, if you block out 5 hours, you will take 5 hours. The only way to get faster is time constraints.